SA Weekly Talk Show. I had a little bit of delay last week and missed 1 week of the SA Weekly Talk Show. Been a crazy week here in upstate New York in my lawn care company, probably as well as your lawn care home cleaning company if you're watching this. If you haven't heard the announcement officially, Mike Michalowicz of Profit First is going to be coming on the SA Weekly Talk Show next week. I'll drop the details and times in the post as well as some other posts. But Mike Michalowicz, major author of Profit First, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, The Pumpkin Plan Surge, and now his new book, Clockwork, How to Make Your Business Run Like Clockwork Without You Being in the Day-to-Day Grind of the Business. So absolute awesome read. If you haven't checked it out, it is on Audible, hard copy, Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. He's going to be hanging out with us on the SA Weekly Talk Show next week. I know my buddy Garrett Matthews is excited. He's got a bit of a man crush on Mr. Michalowicz, so I know Garrett and a few others will be tuning in. But topic of today is what to look for in a cloud-based CRM, just like Service Autopilot. So if you are a member or a user of Service Autopilot, I'm going to dive in and show you the perfection and workflow that I recommend in Service Autopilot. But if you're not using basically a scheduling billing CRM like Service Autopilot, and you're going out and looking for what you should look for when you're going out to buy a CRM, I'm going to give you a peek under the hood of how to use Service Autopilot, the different features of literally going from lead acquisition all the way out to billing. And I know a lot of the business owners we're working with in Simple Growth as a certified advisor are struggling with the same exact things. And we've just set up 6 or 7 Service Autopilot applications for new users just last week. So through my learning of what their pain points were and how we were able to solve those problems, whether you hire someone like a certified advisor like Simple Growth, or you're going to jump in and tackle it yourself. This is going to give you some of the best practice and workflow, how to go out and buy the right CRM and scheduling and billing software. A CRM is a customer relationship management software. So if you're looking at Service Autopilot as a potential buy, or if you have Service Autopilot, today's episode is going to be really interesting. And if you have any questions or comments, drop below and I'll answer them. But I'm going to really just go through the context of what you should be looking for when you go to buy a CRM. And if you're using Service Autopilot, I'm going to show you the power of some of the features you may not be aware of when you dive into this system here. So I'm going to hop out, change the screen, and share it out so you can actually see my Service Autopilot for Simple Growth. And we're going to basically give you some context of what's going on here and what you should be looking for in an automated CRM here. So any comments or questions, drop them below, and we are going to get into this here. So I'm going to hide this in. And all right, so if you're just joining us, we're going over what you should be looking for when you're going out to buy a CRM, or if you're using Service Autopilot, these are the features of Service Autopilot that we recommend using for the best workflow and practice. So the first thing that we always hear from customers that are looking at Service Autopilot, that are using Service Autopilot, is how do I get someone who calls my office or hits the website into the system? Well, there's 2 different ways of tackling it. We have the ability to use forms in Service Autopilot, and I'm going to dive into these real quick. And I'm also going to put a link here at the bottom. We've got a live webinar I've been doing several times a week that goes over these features in a little bit slower fashion. So if you want to click that link and sign up for one of the live webinars as well, it'll go over a lot of this. But basically what you're going to do is there's things called forms, and these are allowed to be embedded into your website. So best practice is you're going to capture at least their first name or their name and their email. If we're going out to get a request or an estimate for a service, we probably want to get their address and phone number or email almost as a qualifier. But if we're doing a lead magnet, we probably want to just grab their name and their email. Less commitment, but then we get them in the system automatically without any double entry, and then we will go out and remarket to them. But so basically, it's a really simple process. We're just going to literally add in their name, their address, and possibly maybe a couple radio buttons or multiple choices of what service they're interested in. But once you complete this out, there's some really easy settings. So if you're looking at a CRM, does it have the ability to create a form that can be embedded in your website and styled to do what this is doing? And we can create this on submit, and we're going to create and update a lead. And a lot of people want to know, well, how do I know if the client came from my website or a landing page off Facebook, or did they see my truck? Service Autopilot is really powerful and can give you the right data to go out and see what type of marketing source is working and what marketing sources is getting you the most profitable customer, as well as the lowest cost acquired per that lead. So they've got a source on submit here. So we can go in and potentially say it's a Facebook ad or a Facebook lawn care ad from 912. So what we're going to do now is once this submits, the system's automatically going to track that this lead came from that. So I'm not going to dive into how to actually set this up, but I want to give you some context of the things you should be looking for when you're going out to buy a CRM like Service Autopilot. So whether they hit the website or your or the phone in your office now, all this is going to be automatically entered in off the web form that's embedded in your website, or we can manually enter this in. So if Mrs. Smith calls, we're going to type her in here. You just set up a fake account. So Tess Smith, and we're going to get her email. I'm going to throw an actual email in here so I can show you some of the workflow as we get into this. And we're probably going to throw in her cell phone there. So we're going to get that in there. And now, once we get her on the phone, we're probably going to want to know, well, how did she hear about us? So under the sales tab, just like off the website where it automatically tracked it, we can say, okay, well, how'd you hear about us? And under source, we can go back in and pull up the Facebook lawn care ad. And if she was referred by a specific person, we can click that in there. And now we can track who is referring customers. So if maybe Mrs. Smith is a long-term customer, she's not driving a lot of value or a lot of sales for us, but before we maybe raise her price or do something that would affect that relationship, we probably want to look to see how many people she's referred, because maybe she's just a 1 or 2 time a year customer, but she's referring 12 or 15 of her friends each year, and that's providing a huge value to our company. So the system allows us to track that. And then probably not as a lead, but while we're on the screen, I want to show you some other things that are really important when you're setting up a CRM like Service Autopilot. Is we're able to select the billing. So how are we going to bill them? Email, print, or both? So we can send it in the mail, we can email it, or both. We can have a specific email that's particular to billing. So if you have a commercial client and we want email to go to a certain billing department, but maybe it's not the property manager, we can set that apart. Is the client taxable? So is it a not-for-profit like a church, or is it a company or an individual that should be taxed? Maybe it's a really important company and we really don't want to send an invoice without physically reviewing it, so we can flag that for review. This way, the system is going to protect you each and every time, just in case maybe you made a manual error. But the invoicing in Service Autopilot is unbelievable. So we're going to get into that, how we can bill everything out literally in 3 to 5 minutes with a click of a mouse, maybe 3 to 4 times. So if you're doing manually billing, pen and paper, or QuickBooks, and generating all at the end of the month, the way the system sets this up is unreal. So if you're going out and making a side-by-side comparison of different CRMs and billing systems, these are some of the things that later in the show here that you're going to want to look at as you're comparing these different systems. And then the last thing, is there any office notes that are particular, that's private, that you don't want to show the customer on a portal where they can log into, that you want inside for your staff, and custom fields. So this could be, has a dog, or maybe there's a gate code. We can have those all those particulars that are important to the client. Those can all be entered in here. So I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but I want to show you some of the features that I think that are really important running my lawn care business, and dealing with hundreds of people running lawn care and home cleaning companies. That they found success with this platform. So I'm not trying to sell you this Service Autopilot here if you don't have it, but these are the things as you're doing a side-by-side comparison that I think that are really important that you should look at and spend some time in. So now that we've got this, whether they come off the website, all this is automatically entered and tracked, or they manually call our office. Now we're going to hit save. So the next thing I want to do is just literally go in and show you the workflow and process. So now that they're a lead, we're going to have to set them up for an estimate. So under the More tab, we're able to create an estimate in an easy, systemizable workflow that can be basically delegated to an office admin or even a virtual assistant that doesn't even work in your office here. So excuse me while I grab a drink here, but basically, once this loads up here, we're going to go in and do an actual specific property measurement to the service here, so that we have the ability to automate our pricing. So if you know how much square foot it takes to actually cut a lawn, maybe from up to 5,000 square feet, we can actually do that. So I'm actually going to hop back here. Since we don't actually have an address in the test client when I set it up, I'm going to put a physical address so you can actually see the measuring power of the system. So instead of going out to GoILon or any of the other free mapping things like lotsize.com, we can actually go in and have this all inside one platform. So there's no multiple chaos and everything's being done in one fell swoop. So we're not having the chance of having bad data entry and having multiple system chaos where we're entering something here and something there. Now it's all under one roof. So I'm gonna just plug in this address here, which in a normal scenario would have happened, but obviously being a live environment here, I forgot to do that. So once we put in the address and the postal code, it's actually gonna automatically pull up the options for the city here. And we're gonna hit continue and save. So now we're gonna go in and it's right now it's asking me, because this is our test address, are any of these possible duplicates? So the system is gonna go in and check to make sure that you're not creating a duplicate contact, which would screw up your records here and possibly in QuickBooks if you're using it with the sync. So we're gonna update the geo information, and then now we're gonna go in and all under one system now we can go in and measure the property. And I'm gonna show you just an overview of this as you're going to compare these systems, or if you are using Service Autopilot, how that workflow looks and how we can build matrix in the background. It sounds really complicated, but it's really not. And I know a lot of business owners, including myself, as we went out and started to scale the business, what if I delegated that estimating to someone else and they screwed it up? Well, that's my paycheck on the line. But there's a check and balance here, and you can open up or only show as much of the system as you want. So as you're looking at different CRMs like SA, you potentially want to see, do you have control to restrict the access of what they can see and what they can't see based on the role that they're actually in the company? So Service Autopilot gives you the ability to go in and add access to certain roles and not to others. So literally now we've got a map measuring tool all inside our program here. And we're just gonna literally go in and measure the property. So I love the fact that everything in here is all under one roof. It's easy, it's done. We're gonna go into custom fields, and these are the different things that track. So we've been working with different types of industries. So you can see I've got a number of small, medium, large shrubs. I've got rolls of blue painter's tape for a painting company. I've got small, medium, and large bathrooms and bedrooms, home lawn care. I've got turf square footage, bed square footage. So no matter the industry you're in, it is tweakable and you can customize it to your service. So I'm gonna go in here, and you would never have this many custom fields, but in our test account, we have quite a few here. So I'm gonna grab the turf square footage here and hit save. Now it's saved. So now if I scroll down here, I've got it listed here for the turf square footage. So if I wanna know it, I can look at it. And we're gonna go in under estimates, and there's things, basically I think it's called as a template. So the way that I look at it is, from the previous CRM I was using in my lawn care business, is I'd have to manually enter each and every estimate line item in and recreate it. Well, in Service Autopilot, you're able to go in now and actually create a template that loads each and every time based on whether you're doing maintenance or home cleaning or snow removal, but they're particular. So it's constantly buying back time and automating the process for you. In addition, they're gonna tie some things in, such as an estimate document, where the estimate lives. They're gonna go in and create an email that automatically populates to send out to your client. It merges the client's name in, their address, anything that you want. So as you're looking at these things in an automated fashion, you wanna look at the things that are gonna buy time back, and you don't have to manually create these estimates or documents each and every time. So I'm gonna go in and do a pre-built estimate I did for a Facebook example last time. But as you can see, it loaded in. So I have my example of lawn mowing. And if you're in the lawn care industry, there's some cool ways that we can actually go in and do this. So we're able to pull out drive time and different production rates based on each type of mower. So if we had a 22-inch mower and a 60-inch mower, and it was based on the 9,400 square feet, this would give us the price based on what we had done. So maybe we only had 100 square feet for that 22-inch push mower. We wanted to charge appropriately for that. So now I'm charging $100 for a 37-inch mower, and maybe I'm not going to use a 60-inch lawnmower, so I'm just going to get rid of that. But now I've got the turf square footage and how much area we're doing with a 22-inch push mower. So if you have different types of equipment and you want to charge different rates based on the square footage, you can go in and dial that out, or just have a set price for a mow, blow, and go, or in the home cleaning industry based on the square footage or a variable of different sizes of rooms. So as you're looking at this, you probably want to look at your workflow process and see if the CRM you're looking at will actually address these things and allow you to customize your estimates and then have them pre-populate. So now that we have this, all we literally have to do is go in and hit draft to quote, save it, and now we're actually going to be able to create this estimate live by going out and hitting the email function. So with a system like this, you're able to actually go out and create a pre-templated email that's going to load with a link here. So once we have this email would load right in, and we've got the body of it here. And this quote link is where it's a clickable link inside the actual automation itself. And once we hit send, it's going to actually send the pre-built estimate with everything we've just quoted in there. So I'm going to send that out. And then they'll actually be able to click on that. So on the other screen, I'm going to pull up my email so you can actually see what an example could look like. But as we're diving into, basically a CRM billing schedule, these are the functions you want to look at. You really don't want to have to recreate the wheel each and every time you create an estimate. You just want a workflow where you can literally have a couple clicks, plug in the square footage or a variable, or even at the very least, a manual price, click save and email, and it goes right out. So as I pull this up here, I'll show you what this looks like. So this is for simple growth. So it won't be a lawn care or home cleaning example per se, but it will show you the simplicity of it. So as we come over here, I've got the email swinging over, and we're going to look at that. And this is literally what came into my email inbox. And click here to view proposal. So we're going to click on it. It opens up another browser window. And this gives you the ability, obviously it's fully customizable, but now we've got our lawn mowing price for $37.50. I've actually embedded a Google Doc. So if I wanted to create a document that I wanted to edit outside through HTML code, you can embed videos in different things like Google Docs in there. In addition, we have videos embedded here, and they actually play live. So I'm going to click on this video here, and it plays live inside the estimate. So what we do in our lawn care company, in this example, we'd have 6 or 7 of these videos that would explain each and every service. So there's lawn mowing, shrub trimming, fertilization, weed control. We are going to list all the services and explain each one in detail, what it's included, what's not included, and our satisfaction guarantee. So now we are going to replicate ourselves through technology, if you want to, in the actual estimate. And if somebody opens this estimate at, say, 10 o'clock on a Friday night, they can click on that video, and hopefully you're overcoming into the sales and price objection. So as you're looking for a different CRM or Service Autopilot itself, these are the features that I would recommend using. And as you're doing a side-by-side comparison, I'm unaware of a lot of other platforms that will allow you to have this complexity. I'm not actually aware of any, but these are the things that I recommend as best workflow and practice. So the next thing we're going to be looking at here is literally in-service autopilot. So I said, once we go in and obtain this customer, I'm going to show you actually how to schedule the workflow with that. But the next thing I want to do is kind of circle back and say, when we were looking at different marketing forms, and a lot of people ask us, how do we grow a business? How do I get a customer? That seems to be the biggest question that I get day in and day out. Well, there's tools in the software that you can go under the CRM settings here and track the client source. So whether they saw your truck, it was that Facebook ad, it was a customer referral. Extremely simple. All you'd have to do is go under client source, and we'll go into the Facebook lawn care ad example, but you type in what it is, and it's this really cool feature. So under ad campaign, you can literally put a start and end date. So if this started the first of this week and the end of this week, and we spent $100 on our Facebook ad, this here would track that lead source coming in between that variables of time, and then it would actually tell you what it costs, so how many people actually came in off that ad, how many people requested an estimate, out of them, how many people actually became a customer. And it's going to break out a really simple report that'll tell you that this is what happened. And this is how easy those reports can be in this system. So under CRM reports, this is the latest and greatest new version of reports they just released to everybody. So one of the things I really love about Service Autopilot is they're constantly updating it. So as you're looking at other platforms potentially, are they constantly updating it, or are they sitting on a dead technology? But under client source campaigns, we're able to actually go in now and run this report for a specific date range. But if we had our Facebook lawn care ad, we can see when it started and stopped, how many people we did, so we can plug in Facebook how many people it actually reached, the total expense, how many people responded, the cost per lead, the number of sales, and what we converted those at, and then a cost per sale. So if you're looking out and saying, how do I grow my business, and how do I know if I can make $5 million or $10 million? Well, now the system is going to track that and give you the ability to reverse engineer the math. Jonathan Patoshnik, some people know him as the Lawn Care Millionaire, that's co-founder of Service Autopilot, had a great analogy. Well, if you knew each customer cost you $100, and they were sitting inside like basically a vending machine, well, how many $100 bills would you be sticking in that vending machine? Well, I would put all my $100 bills in there, because basically you know the exact cost and what they're coming out. Well, if you don't know those numbers, the system now will track that for you just by literally clicking on where they came from and entering any of the flyers or marketing that you do. So that is just a great feature that allows you to track things without any emotion. So to cycle back then, we're going to go back into our test account. So when you're looking for a client, you can hit test here. And I'm going to have Tess Smith is Mrs. Smith. So now that I've got this estimate, if I accepted it online or they call the office, that estimate's ready to go. And you're going to notice this screen here is a little bit different. This is a lead screen. And that lead screen looks different because the system is smart enough that they want to track when someone becomes a lead to a customer. So they can track that conversion for you without you really having to do any work, but then they can report on that back to you for those reports and the conversion rates. So if we click into this estimate now, I'm going to accept the estimate as if the customer called and said, yes, I do want this estimate. So it's an all-in-one, very smooth workflow. And that's one of the things I didn't experience in any of the other CRMs I used previously. So I know we're diving in specifically to Service Autopilot, but if you don't have Service Autopilot and you're looking at this, these are the questions and things you need to be looking for, in my opinion, to make an apples-to-apples comparison to make this transition. And this core functionality is relatively easy to set up in the service. So now under quote here, we're going to hit 1. And once it's 1, we're going to click here and hit schedule. Well, the system is smart enough right now. It's going to tell me not that I can't schedule unless I convert them into an actual client. So it's what it just did. So we're actually going to convert them in 1 click. Now it's going to allow me to go back in and reschedule the job right off the estimate itself. So when this pops up, it's going to give me a variety of ways I can schedule this lawn mowing. So I'm going to go in and hit schedule and show you. So I can either do a reoccurring job. So whether it's a reoccurring job weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever that is, we can do that. If it's a waiting list job, if you have things where someone signs up, and it doesn't need to be a specific day, but maybe it needs to be done within a range. So maybe from the 1st to the 30th of July, that could be a waiting list. And then if it goes past your deadline, it pops up in red, letting you know that you're outside of the range, you better get it done. You can do a one-time job, a work order, or an on-demand job. It's very similar to snow removal. So it's on demand. So when it snows, that demand happens, and then you can set it out. Or a project. So we're going to go in and we're going to add a reoccurring job, because this is probably the most common thing that you're going to see in the service industry as far as mowing or home cleaning, pest control, possibly pool cleaning. This is what we get into here. So preloaded for you is a bunch of already set up schedules. So bi-weekly, every other week, even or odd weeks, Monday through Friday, or a weekly schedule, weekly Friday through Monday here, which is fine. So we can set those. But what if your schedule is just a little bit different than everybody else? So you can hit custom schedule, and this allows you to customize the schedule. So as you're comparing different platforms, is the system going to allow you to customize it to the way you do business and not the way everybody else does business? This platform will do that for you. So we're going to say maybe we want to go weekly and maybe we want to go every 3 weeks. That would be a tough one on most platforms. We're going to start on Thursday. We're going to start it today, and we're going to have no end, or maybe we want to end after 15 occurrences. Then the system would stop, or we end by a date. Once we have this here, we can show schedule on calendar, and it's going to project out visually all the options we have and when we're going. So we can modify that schedule and we can confirm it. So I'm going to grab, in this example, just a weekly Friday cut, because that's what today is. And then we're going to do initial start date of today. And we're going to start reoccurring today. So if you have people in the field and you want to be able to do a on-the-fly job ad, if they're using the mobile, it could pop up live in their phone, and we can add that to a certain crew's job midday. So that's another big feature that I found really helpful, is it allows you to add or subtract jobs on the fly, and in the mobile, it automatically updates. Then we would assign it to our crew. So we're going to go in and grab our Mo crew number 1. And then based on the estimate, it was $37.50, and we had budgeted for 0.75 man hours. So it's a very streamlined scheduling system. So I know a lot of people we work with are using pen and paper or a Google Doc or 5 or 6 different things to schedule. This will give you a very, very easy way to schedule your jobs. And then once you hit save, it is automatically scheduled. So another question we have is, well, can we look at it on a calendar and have a way of looking at it? So especially if you're in the home cleaning industry, or maybe even if you're an irrigation tech, where you need a set appointment. We don't want to overbook that. We can go in now and see several different views how to do the scheduling. So the first one is going to be the dispatch board, but I'm going to actually go in and show you 3 different ways you can actually schedule in the platform. So is the platform you're looking at giving you the ability to actually schedule whether a dispatch board, which would be like something you'd have on the wall, or a calendar, or a dispatch calendar with a drag and drop ability. So I'm going to show you all of those, how this actually works. So really easy here. This is our dispatch board. And when you can see here with the phone icon, the mobile, that's been dispatched. But these other 2 guys here have not. So literally all we have to do is go in and click actions, or order, actions, and dispatch. Now these jobs are live to be done. So basically, now what about routing? How do I know what my drive time is? Can I route and optimize my driving live in the system? So that's another thing that you probably should be looking at when you're comparing the CRMs, or if you're going to utilize Service Autopilot, it's a feature you should be using, in my opinion. So we're going to click all of the properties, and we're going to hit show map. Now, 1 or 2 of these are fictitious addresses, so I'm not sure if they're going to show up, but we'll zoom out. I know at least 2 of them are real. So I've got one in Rochester and one all the way across the state in New York. But for this example, we would probably have 50 to 60 pins right in here, like in my lawn care company. But I can show you the functionality of this. So say there was multiple pins, we can group selections and drag and drop around them. And let's just say we wanted to recreate that schedule. Well, we could do that by literally going and assigning a resource to the home cleaning crew, the lawn mowing crew, and either make it one time or permanent. So this will give us the ability on the fly to create routes and see where other counts are around us. In addition, it's up here in the left-hand column. It's going to show you how many budgeted hours, how many services, and the total revenue for the day. So if you know you need to do at least $1,000 a day for that 2-man crew, it gives you a benchmark to how to actually go out and do that. The final thing I want to show you is under actions, we have the ability to group stops, which groups them together, or optimize them. I believe it's a penny a stop, but it's very similar, like a MapQuest or something, where it's going to optimize the stops and give you driving directions. So from your shop through all the accounts, back to your shop, and it's going to optimize and give you driving directions. So it's something we use in our company, and we used to have to go to Microsoft MapPoint while it was still there, and then import and export. So as you're looking at this and looking at a CRM that does your lead acquisition, your estimating, your follow-up, your scheduling, your billing, can it be all done in one platform, and can it be done smoothly day to day to day to day? So now that we have this route here, we're in pretty good shape. We've got everything we need. I'm going to collapse the map. But one of the big issues that we find, especially in the service industry, we've got employees that sometimes don't show up. So what happens if we have a crew member that doesn't show up and we need to put somebody else on the crew just for that day on the fly? How do we track that? So under the more, we can literally go in and assign crews. And this is going to pull up my crews. So let's just say Christine and I were on Mo Crew 1 here, and I called in sick, and we needed somebody for Christine. So we would pull myself off, and we could throw Chad on the Mo Crew. So this is on the fly, can be done in the mobile app or live from the office. But this will track the changes in labor based on each crew on a daily basis. And then on an overall, you can default it so they automatically load each day. So this is really important because it can track some of your payroll and your scheduling and billing. So now that we've actually acquired the lead off the website or through the phone in the office, we've tracked where they've come from and what marketing source and how much it's actually cost us. We've accepted the job, converted a client into a lead. Now we've gone in and dispatched the jobs and optimized the drive time based on this particular jobs you're doing. And in the map view, we're also looking at what our total revenue and jobs are up here on the left, so make sure we're hitting our goals for the day. So now that they're dispatched, the jobs are going to be done. So if you're using the mobile tab, this will automatically enter times in for you. If you're not using the mobile, you print out a hard copy piece and you'd ask your crew leaders to go in and enter the start and stop time. So this is right here. And we would literally just put from, let's say, 7 a.m. to 07:30 a.m. In this example, there's no price or hours, so we'll leave it the way it is. But then we're going to go into the next one. So this next one here, maybe it took 15 minutes to drive there. So we started at 7 a.m. or 7:45 a.m. and maybe it took to 9 a.m. We can see is once this is fully filled out, the system is smart enough to say if we budgeted for 3.66 hours and we did it between 7:45 and 9 a.m., the system now is telling us we worked 1.25 hours and we had X amount of people on the crew. So if we had 2 people assigned to it, that would automatically pop up in one quantity. The amount was $180, and we would save that. And now that's automatically in there. So we're going to go in and add some time to the next job as well, just so we have an example of what this looked like. And now you're probably wondering, how can we go out and build this all in one easy step? Because that's the biggest pain point that I hear from contractors or home cleaning people that's are in that industry is they're doing a manual process for billing in QuickBooks, line by line by line. Service Autopilot allows you to do it in minutes. So I'm going to show you what that process could look like. And as you're comparing different platforms, you probably want to take a look at what does that billing process look like and how automated is it? And can you accept credit cards and basically Z them out immediately through the system? So now that we have everything, we're going to select it. We're good with it. Everything looks good. We're going to go in and complete these jobs. Now you can see this mobile phone is going to change to a checkbox. So on the client level or the service level, we can select whether we want daily billing, weekly billing, monthly billing, and that's automatically going to trigger. So when it hits that point, the invoices will be ready to be billed. Now, you can do custom billing too. So maybe you want to do every Tuesday. So everything we did last week would be automatically generated to be billed out the following Tuesday. So the system gives you that flexibility. But basically, when that's done, we can go into accounting invoices, and it's going to allow us to literally, in a couple clicks, do it. So it's going to give you the last 30 days in this test account of what's past due. So invoices to charge, we can literally go in, and if they were there, we would literally click all of them down automatically by clicking this. So we've done several thousand in a day. We literally go into actions, and when a credit card processing is done and hooked up, there would be a line here that says charge cards. And literally by charging that, it would charge all 1,000 of those all at once. If we have invoices to print, same exact thing. We would select them, go down, and print them. Invoices to email, same exact process. Emails, boom, we'd hit that. So literally by doing that on each 3 of those there, we would be able to charge all our credit cards, email them out, and print them out in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. No longer are you spending hours and hours and hours and every month trying to get your bills out. We can do them. And if it's a one-time job, you can set it up so the invoice generates either that day or the following day. A lot of people wonder, well, how do we track if the credit cards are failed charges? Well, under failed charges, any failed charges would be here. So you go in, take a look at it, try to rerun it. If not, you can automatically go out through actions and send out some notifications to those people to get them to update their credit card. And then email delivery errors. So people are worried about, if I'm sending out emails, how would I know if the invoice never got there? Well, email delivery errors is going to show you that, and then you can reach out by phone or print it out. And anything that was incomplete or deleted is there as well. So literally from client acquisition to tracking where they came from what marketing source and what it costs, your closing ratios, to an automated way to create an estimate, to follow up on it, to convert that client or that lead to a client and track it off the same screen, schedule it, dispatch it, track the start and stop times, the ability to run reports on that start and stop time to make sure you're making money at each and every job. And then once they're done, literally going into one screen, going into invoices, and literally getting the bills out and getting paid. So if you're looking at a system like Service Autopilot, these are the things that you should be looking at if you're doing a side-by-side comparison. But in my opinion, on a foundational level, these are the things that are going to set you up for success from day one if you're using Service Autopilot. So if you have any comments or questions, drop them below. Happy to answer them. And Paul says here, custom fields can auto-populate the estimate form. So yes, they absolutely. So those custom fields are square footage of house, square footage of beds, square footage of turf. Do they have a dog? What's the gate code? Any of those things that you need to track for the individual client, you can do that. So hopefully this was helpful, but I really wanted to dive into what you should be looking at as an automated CRM and what that looks like. So drop your questions below. SA Weekly Talk Show next week, Mike Michalowicz of Profit for Pumpkin Plan, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur Surge, and his new book, Clockwork. I believe it's going to be 3 p.m. next Thursday. I'm going to confirm that. If you want some more information on what else you should be looking for in a CRM, I'm going to put the link of a live webinar. We do it several times a week here at Simple Growth as a certified advisor. And take a look at it. We've had some great success now over the last week or two, setting Service Autopilot up from day one before people ever get into it. And these are the pain points and things that people are looking at when they're going to make the move to a CRM like Service Autopilot. So whether you're a Service Autopilot client or you're looking to maybe use it, or even if you're going out to find a solution, if Service Autopilot's not a good fit for you, these are the key elements that I would recommend as an industry veteran of 24 years in lawn care and snow removal and working with hundreds of lawn care, home cleaning, pest control, and pool companies. So hopefully this was helpful. If you're just tuning in, I'm going to put a link to some live webinars we're doing that goes over the same information in a greater detail. But, good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to let you know the good and the bad things we've had with our business with CRMs. But I've got to say, after several different CRM platforms, the workflow and process and Service Autopilot that we've utilized has been a game changer, allowed us to scale to that million mark and beyond, and allowed us to help several other companies have that same transition while the business owner is pulled back out of the day-to-day. So the Service Autopilot says, build the business of your dreams. And in my opinion, take your life back from your business in the same process. So check out the recording this. If not, if you have any questions, comments live, and we got a couple people that just tuned in. Sorry that you missed that, but we do have a couple comments here, so I'm going to get to these before I wrap them up. Brad Harper, what's up, buddy? Like I said, I'm going to post a link of a live webinar link here that you can check out of what we just did here in a little more depth. But thanks again for your time. Next week, Mike Michalowicz, Thursday, of Profit First, Pumpkin Plan, Surge, and the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. We're going to be going over his new book, Clockwork, how to get your business to work like clockwork so you, the business owner, are not making the decisions day in and day out. If you haven't checked it out, great book. Just finished it up a few days ago, and it really made me think about my business and how my goal at Simple Growth now is to help entrepreneurs take their life back from their business and empower them to empower their teams on a day-to-day individual basis to run the business without them. And that book really hits home for me, and the process and systems that Mike and I are going to be talking about next week will reveal a lot of that. But be an episode you don't want to miss. Mike Michalowicz coming live next week. So till then, we will check the comments, and we will talk to you soon.